Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Marion Landry and I'm a visual artist.
Originally from Montreal, I moved here a while back now and landed permanently in Vancouver in 1999. It is true that the city has seen a tremendous change since my arrival, but so did my practice. Throughout my life, I have had a constant thirst for painting. From outdoor landscape sceneries to exploration with abstract or figures, painting has always been a way in which I explore, question, and filter the world around me. Trained as a visual designer out of Cégep du Vieux-Montréal and later as a 3D visualization specialist, I have lived a parallel life as a 3D animation specialist in the field of architecture, engineering, and construction. During my career, I created 3D visualization of many landmark buildings in Vancouver and contributed to the emergence of 3D and virtual reality technologies. I work with 3D meshes, polygons, and flat surfaces to create spaces that embodied stories, emotions, and concepts. I studied rendering simulation and lighting analysis concepts that helped the industry reproduce real-life experiences in the most accurate ways. I believe that this parallel journey has informed my practice and provided a strong foundation in the way in which I observe, organize, and translate the pictorial plane. At the foundation, I'm an oil-based painter. Documentation and processes being one of my focus, I use photography and step-motion videos to capture its moving nature. I find transparency and authenticity an important characteristic of my practice. I choose to work with geometrical abstraction as I find it the most effective language to convey my interests. I am interested in the unstable and subjective nature of perception and how the interpretation of reality is often distorted and filtered by our own knowledge and life experiences, or point of view. I use transparent geometrical patterns that I overlay to create illusions of space, adding depth and structure to an image. Unlike the hard edge movement in which I take great inspiration, no tape is used in my work. Softness and imperfection are important elements of my work and can be observed in the lines used to trace my patterns and the free-hand gestures of my painted color fields. I intentionally leave the line work and measurement marks as to reveal the structural processes within the work. To me, a painting becomes a window into a reality that is distorted, blurred, and confused. I usually paint in collections or series. Alongside a large-scale painting, a diversity of studies are created and used to resolve ideas which will later be translated onto a large-size painting. During production, I salvage leftover paints and apply them to cardboard boxes that I collect. I have an affinity for boxes and find they have the capacity to hold meaning on their own. Most of the boxes in my studio are from personal items and also speak on the volume and habits of consumption. Boxes are either collapsed or kept as 3D objects that are later assembled into small sceneries. Presented on shelves, within frames or boîte tableaux, they are for me a way to enter painting. The tactile nature of these assemblages provide me with a way to think through a painting composition. I often find these studies and sceneries as important and valuable as the large-scale painting they produced and often question the entanglement of both of these practices. For that reason, I choose to group painted objects and paintings on wall-based tableaux that expand painting beyond the surface of the frame to include the structure in which they came to life. I choose to see these installations as the community from which a painting arises, questioning the hierarchy between painting, studies, and objects. I often think of them as one, a group, a family, or a clique. They share similarities, but are not all the same. They stem from one another and grow alongside each other to create a production of work. They are part of a long thread of questions and inquiries that together they answer. For my first critique of the MFA, I chose to reproduce one of these wall tableaux within the Grad Gallery. Presented my latest large-scale painting titled A Gem, alongside the studies and object that help shape the painting. Boundaries, edges, and limits, and how they are perceived, interpreted, and understood are predominant concerns in my work. Since the beginning of the pandemic, I observed and experienced the impact of these imposed but yet invisible boundaries. From the physical demand of the 2-meter distance to the new concept of a personal bubble, I became super aware of my personal boundary and how I physically situate or distance myself from others. Sidewalk markers started to appear, tape lines on the ground became the new visual rhythm by which to obey and respect each other's physical distance. I have to say that I have stepped on and outside the lines many times. Relationships have been impacted by this distance. My perspective and understanding of these limits have shifted and changed over time, sometimes logically and at times emotionally without grounds. I have felt confused, frustrated, and perplexed by this new reality, and again, painting has been my beacon. In the early days of the pandemic, I created a series of paintings directly speaking to the line markers I observed on the sidewalks and in stores. I found that it created a rhythm and imposed a specific flow to how we walk and behave. With a lack of venues to physically show my work and engage with the public, I have been thinking of new, perhaps more interactive ways of experiencing my work. For 2 days on the second weekend of September, I explored with a new style of installation combining this series of painting and LED lights. I positioned the lights on the floor as to echo the marker of the sidewalks. I was curious to see the impact of a control and untraditional ways of lighting paintings and the rhythm it could create. The initial intention was to play with warm and cool light colors, but of course, due to the color range option offered by the LED, I also venture into colors. With my 2 assistants, we observed shadows change tonality, painting color read completely different, playing with our perception, and impact us in ways we didn't expect. We created mood, ambiance, and theatrical effect, and in the end, we danced with the lines, finding unexpected joyful moments. I'm not sure how successful this was, but it allowed me to experience my work in a way that was more immersive, playful, and unexpected. The immersive possibilities explored in this installation is one of the things I would like to expand on during my MFA research. However, the main concern I have is to further understand the relation between structure and surface present in my work. Thanks for watching.